Hello again. So it's going to be part 2 of the Wojtek Survival Tracker knife. The guy's name, by the way, is Ryan Lawson. Survival expert, survival instructor as well. I say in part 1, I had everything written down, but me with my ADHD brain is kind of left a piece of paper at home. So I'm a bit embarrassed by that, but it is Ryan Lawson who helped design, well, not just helped, he actually did design this knife with a few years. And the one thing in part 1 I didn't mention as well is that when I bought this knife, it was only, I think it was in total, including packaging and posting, it was around £148 British pounds. I don't know what that is in dollars, I don't know, which is very cheap for a tracker knife. And obviously, so you're looking at cheap kind of Chinese budget tracker knives in that range. But this is different because as Dave Canterbury always says, which is, if you don't know who Dave Canterbury is, he's kind of the American version of R.A. Mears. So Dave Canterbury always says, for the common man, and Ryan Lawson, he wanted to design a tracker, a very capable tracker that could be purchased by the common man, so the common working man. So it had to be strong, it had to be reliable. Can I do the video now, mate? Oh, he's a nuisance, but so yeah, he wanted to design and make a tracker knife that worked, but be available to purchase from the common man, so around the $150 mark or less. And so it wasn't just the design that he was looking into, he had to make sure that it was made from durable materials that would suit the outdoors and the survivalist outdoors, that anyone could purchase. So yeah, which is probably the hardest bit. It's not just designing a knife, because anybody can design a knife from like super steels and things like that, and have been, but to design a knife that you can sell for most people's budget, now that is very difficult to do, especially a tracker knife with all these complicated shapes and angles. So I thought I might just put that into part 2. So hence that's why he probably chose G10. G10 is a lot cheaper than MacArthur. D2 is again, it's a cheap budget steel, but it has, again, from looking at video in part 1, it has to be D2 has to be heat treated and tempered properly for it to work in the field. Otherwise it'll just be a catastrophic fail, either breakouts in the edge, or it will snap, or it'll be so hard that you physically can't sharpen it in the field, which is, it's also hard. So this guy Ryan, who designed this, had all that to think about as well. So it has to be strong, it has to be tough, it can't be made from real expensive super steels, because then you're looking at you're talking like 500-600 and plus more pounds, which is not what he set out to do. So he wanted a tracker that could be affordable tracker for the common man, and obviously he came up with this design and materials. So again, did that. So part 2, is probably obviously going to be probably quicker than part 1. So moving up now, we're going to discuss this bit here. So discuss it first. Okay, so for the people that know me, I don't like serrated edges and I don't like saws on my knives. For me, it's not needed because I always carry a pocket, some sort of pocket saw, or even if I forget that, I always carry my Swiss Army knife, which again, it's got a little saw on it. Excuse me. So purchasing another knife that's got a saw edge is a bit hit and miss for me. But at least on the plus side, like on similar trackers, I've seen loads of trackers where you've got different saws, different lengths and things like that, but at least this saw here doesn't come all the way up here, or is not there. Some tracker knives I've seen, some of the Chinese, really cheap Chinese knockoffs, is they've got a saw there, you know, almost like the original Rambo knife had, where it had a saw from the back of the spine, from the handle all the way to the tip, and it's like, no, because I like to choke up on my knives. I like to do this and do delicate works and things like that, so I don't want a saw there. This is not too bad because it's on the edge. Like I say, this is probably the closest thing you are going to get to a WSK tracker knife. Now, WS tracker knives, which are the original tracker knives, obviously, for the film The Hunted with Del Toro and Tommy Lee Jones. Those knives are, you're talking thousands of pounds. I mean, even the basic model, I looked online last night, even the basic WSK knife, I think it was something like £1,600, £1,600 for a knife, same size as this. Yes, it's got better steel, O2 steel, and it does other steels as well, but you know, the overall size and pretty much the shape is pretty much the same as this, but a lot less. So there's a big difference between 150 British pounds and 1,005, even 1,600. There's a massive difference, so bear that in mind as well. Okay, so yeah, it's from the beginning, through trial and error, he did have different saws here. I think at one point he had a single teeth, but when he field tested it along with another survival instructor and designer, they decided to put like a kind of a, I think they call this is the Swiss saw tongue twister. So if you can see, it's got double teeth. So it'll pretty much act similar to a rip saw, where it'll rip huge chunks out of the wood. But I always say this when I use a tracker knife, this is not intended to be a saw. Okay, on this, some other tracker knives you can use it as a saw, like the another really well made tracker knife, which is a Origin knives, which I've also got a video on, and that his saw back on the Origin is fantastic, amazing. That rip saw is just amazing, but this is different. Okay, his Kevs you can use as a real saw, and you can actually saw through sticks and thin logs and things. But this, I suppose you can use it as a mini saw if you wanted to, but you'd be there for some time. This was designed primarily as a notcher, as a quick notcher, rather than choking up and making a quick notch. this can do it for you. Okay, so piece of wood here. Again, got a piece of ash, so I'm going to do a notch, and you'll see how quickly it is. So if I just angle this camera down so you can see, so that I'm not cheating. Doesn't help me bad knee, does it? But you know, I do this for you guys. Do it for the team. Don't know if you can see that. No, probably not. Right, if we go back a bit, can you still see it? Yeah, it's not too bad, is it? That's, we'll angle it there. That's fine. So you don't have to see my ugly mug. Okay, so nothing there, no notches at all. Yes, there's a notch there, but there's nothing here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my foot on this bit here just to stabilise it. And at first, I've tried different ways, same as I've tried with different trackers. I've tried holding it like that. You've got this kind of choil bit here, so you can actually put your thumb there. I actually prefer it like that. Okay, so like you would a normal saw at home, just start off really slowly until the teeth sinks in. Once the teeth sinks in, then you can go faster. It's only tiny. Okay, so I've not been going very long. There it is, just starting to notch there. So let's try holding it this way instead of that way, see if there is a difference. Not really. We'll carry on. Okay. So you can see it works really well at notching, but because of the size, you can't use this as a saw. It'd just take you ages, but that's why I designed it like that. That's why it's only tiny, because for, if you need to make a quick trap or quick tent peg or anything like that, or anything for a quick notch, you can just grab this, put your notch in without having to try and carve one in, which takes more time. So get your loop, stick it down there, go to that notch there. Obviously I've not done it deep enough, so I'm just going to show you. Okay, like that, and that sits in lovely in that notch there. Beautiful, perfect, really good. Okay, so put the camera back up. Okay, so that was this bit here, so the kind of Swiss design saw, which they have similar on the Swiss Army knife, and it works really well. Not as a common saw, so it will never replace your Laplander saw, but it does notch really fast. So yeah, I can see that coming very handy when you trap making and things like that. So yeah, so I'm going to cut it off there. So that's part 2. Now 40 minutes long, and like I said, when I'm coming back to do my videos, I'm going to try and keep my videos as short as I can, because I haven't got access to edit equipment or anything like that. So I just let me video run. So part 1 obviously told you a little bit about this steel, what it's made out of, and demonstrated this portion here. And this part of the video was purely to demonstrate this notcher here, a little bit about that and how it works. Okay, so I'm going to cut that off there, and we're going to go into part 3, which I'll go on to a different part of the knife. So stay tuned in part 3. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.